Hey everyone, this is Sanjay here. So I'm really excited to have this live session with Anchal over here and Anchal is from Postman team. So you might have received a lot of swags in the last program and a lot of swags yet to receive in this program. So yes, we have a lot of things to discuss about that as well, and a lot of things in terms of how to do the certification and few career related talk as well. So I hope people are still joining in right now. And if you have already joined, let us know where you are joined in from, which city you are joining right now from, or which country you are joining from. So let's have that discussion over here until I believe like most of the people are joining from LinkedIn. All right. Yep, the stream has started right now. So you can ask your questions if you have any specific questions towards Anchal or something. So we can take that question at the end of the session. Um, yep. So without further any delays, I'm adding Anchal into the session right now. Hi, Anchal. How are you?
Hey, hi Sanjay. Hi everyone.
Hi. So we do have people from different part of India joining in, tuning in right now, from Bhopal, Kanpur, Pune. So yeah, so we covered most of the India right now. So so as I told you, like this event, we are not just only talking about Postman certification. We are going to talk about career perspective as a developer advocate. What you can guide the students to be if they wish to be a developer advocate in the future or something like that. So without further delaying it, I want to give you an introduction to what is Postman certification is all about. So it's basically like API certification. So you do the certification and the duration is something around 1 or 2 hours max if you are completely beginner. So once you do the certification, you get the badge from the postman, and of course we do a lucky draw for the swags. But beyond that, this API certification will give you a kind of a upfront in terms of your career. So you get pretty much enough knowledge on how to use a sample API and how to work around with that. So I think Anchal would be the best person to talk about that because she's working with the postman team. So I'm handing over to you, Anchal. Can you
Yeah.
give a brief idea about what is that Postman API is all about, and why, as a postman, is stressing out people to do the certification?
Oh yeah, sure thing. By the way, thank you so much, Sanjay, for introducing me. And yeah, hi everyone. So I'll quickly share a little bit about myself. So my name is Aanchal Mishra, and I currently work at Postman as a developer advocate for the student programs team. And yeah, my team and along with like the entire team we have, right? We have built an amazing program around students, right? Where our main target and our main vision is around promoting API literacy and like among students, so that basically we want students to learn about APIs and to learn about these essential skills when they are actually within the campus, right? They are doing a lot of things where they have a lot of time, right? Because after you actually like jump into your professional journey, after you join different companies, you will be like you definitely will be yeah, you will definitely be focusing a lot on learning about these skills, right? Because APIs definitely play a very important role, not just in software development but in general, like any booming subject if you will talk about right now, whether you talk about gen AI, whether you talk about AI. We strongly believe that you cannot do you cannot do AI without APIs, or for that matter anything, right? That's why we believe in the API first approach. So for those who are completely new to Postman, right, who are completely new to the program as well, I'll quickly share a little bit about what exactly Postman is. So Postman is a collaborative API platform which is used for building and using APIs. And Postman basically simplifies each and every step of the API life cycle and streamlines the collaboration so you can create better APIs faster. Now, when I talk about API lifecycle, right, and I also emphasize on the term collaborative because it is like something which is very important, right? Like in this particular, like right now in the scenario where most of us are working in a remote world, right? Like we are working in a remote scenario. Definitely, collaboration is something which is very important. So when I talk about API lifecycle, it means that you cannot just use Postman for testing APIs, which is like, like most of the people used to, perform the testing and testing things on APIs. But it covers the entire lifecycle of APIs, right? Which means that Postman is all things APIs. You can design your APIs, you can test your APIs, mock them, monitor them, document your APIs, discover your APIs on Postman, and even distribute your APIs that you are building on Postman. So of course, that basically means that you can do all and everything's APIs on Postman. And about the training, right, which is specifically for students. So all of you who are joining in, and who are currently, studying in a particular campus, and are just, starting off with learning, like with your journey to learn about software development, to learn about these things, right, and choose your particular field accordingly. I think this particular training, as such, right, the API Fundamental Student Expert Certification, it gives you a lot of edge over others in terms of what exactly you end up learning into, like whatever you end up learning after, you complete the entire certification. You learn about APIs, you learn about about its importance in the modern software development. You learn how actually you can use Postman to work with APIs. And I think right now, most of you, right, most of you, and who are actually, undergraduates, they want to, participate in these events, participate in these hackathons, where, they want to, they basically want to build something within 24 hours, or within, a particular, a particular defined time duration. And I think learning and basically certification and courses like these, like trainings like API Fundamental Student Expert Certification, definitely help you to understand and have a very strong fundamental knowledge about APIs, so that you can actually implement that when you are working on these projects, right? So that's something which I definitely, emphasize on, that it does not matter like how much beginner you are currently in the field, whether you are a first year, right, or you're someone, who is who has have a experience of, working and building with APIs and working on it. I think this particular certification definitely helps you and allows you to learn about what exactly you can do with APIs, starting from the very early stage, where, you just want to learn about the CRUD operations, then you want to learn about scripting, you want to learn about query params, and there are so many this there are just so many things that you can learn from, again, learn from this course. So I think, yeah, that's what I would say for now about student expert trading.
All right. So we can see like a lot of interaction been happening. Like Postman is leading the API era. Of course, even in my organization where I work as a data engineer, we do use Postman. Without Postman, it's pretty hard to do any of the stuff right now. So so by saying that, we will jump into a small deviation. So people would be more interested to know about how being a developer advocate, and so we would like to know more about your experience. So I would like to ask in the comment box, would you like to know about the developer advocate journey of Anchal in Postman, or are you aspiring to be a developer advocate or program manager in the future? So let me know if you want to know more about it in the comment box. All right. So anyway, I will head into some of the questions which is already shortlisted. So we are already started getting some response over here. All right. How did you get started with the tech industry, and what led you to the role of being a developer advocate?
Yeah, sure thing. The journey is very interesting because, I'm still the very first engineer, from my entire family. Because when I actually, my dad is actually from banking industry, so he just wanted to make sure that whatever field I take, it should be, it should have maths in it. So that's why, I chose PCM, and then of course, I ended up giving J mains, and then I got selected. I got admitted into a very good university. And after that, when I joined in, because I was also like completely very much new to, engineering fields, like the different branches that we have. So I actually got admitted, like my parents got me admitted into electronics branch. Okay. And when I joined in the college, and I think like a lot of people, right now also, whenever I say this, that I'm actually from electronics, so people are like, oh really, we never, knew that, because the journey looks so much different, so that's why. So what actually happened is, when I joined in, just did not like, I would not say I did not like it, but I would say that my deviation, and I was leaning completely onto software development, because just by, because on when you are in the when you are in your first year, like a lot of subjects are actually same for all the different branches. And I found my interest in, I basically found my inspiration, and I basically found my, I found my way that I like software development interests me more. So that's what, from there I actually discovered it. And when I discovered it, I realized that our college does not have a very active environment of, having these events, having these technical workshops, where, we basically see, and we basically get to learn from these experts, right, who actually come to, who basically come to your campus, visit your campus, and then, you get to get your hands-on experience on these products and on these different things, or different tech stacks. So me, along with, having teaming up with some of my friends, I basically decided to, get or initiate this environment within my college, where, we can actually learn from others. We can, be part of these communities where, we can lead these sessions, we can interact, and we can directly get in touch with, some industry experts, and then we can, again, bring this environment within our campus. So it started from there. And I think after that, slowly I became part of a lot of global technical programs, which were actually there for students. For example, I was part of MLSA, I was part of GDSC, I was part of, just for reference, I'm giving some of them. And then I started with, and then basically my journey with Postman started, or you will say that, my journey with developer advocacy actually started. So I was always someone who just, I realized in midst that I'm not someone who just wants to learn these things, but I also really loved sharing, and, sharing these things with others, whatever I used to learn. So, and of course it started with creating a good community in our campus, and then it later on, started increasing when I became part of these global programs, right? Because when I became part of these programs, it definitely gave me a lot of exposure. I was directly collaborating and networking with these, with fellow student leaders, with fellow student ambassadors who were, who were from different parts of world. And then of course it gave me a lot of confidence, as in, when I learn something, and then I also share it with others, and which is like a global, which is basically like a global audience, right? And then meanwhile, I was, I completed my Postman student expert certification. And then what happened is that, I saw that what exactly I can do next in Postman to contribute. And then I realized that they just, then Postman, student programs team just launched just launched Postman student leader program. And I thought of, why not, let's try that. And I was chosen as one of the very first student leaders in the program. So when I joined in, I was more like, okay, let's try something new, and let's, try to help as many community members as we can. And then that was recognized by our, our then team. And they actually reached out to me saying that they want to explore some internship opportunities with me, because they really saw that, here is a girl who actually, loves troubleshooting amongst community members, and I also had a very good personal brand that time as well, because, I used to share a lot of things online. I used to share all my, achievements, all my whereabouts, on professional front, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and a lot of other platforms as well. So that happened. And then I was reached out by the student programs team to explore the internship opportunity. And then I joined them as one of the very first intern, within the Postman student programs team. And then I think the journey just continued. I just, I just made sure that I'm being able to learn as much as I can, because my journey into developer advocacy actually started a little bit earlier. Because right now, if I will say that, I would not really recommend this particular path for all the, for all the students, right? Because I think right now we definitely want to make sure that developer advocates whom we are, whom we are basically hiring, or any team, right? We definitely want to make sure that they have good level of experience, good level of, software development experience before they actually jump into dev, right? But for me, it was more like I was someone who loved tech stacks. I was definitely very good at tech, and I was very good at, educating people about that, right? Any tech stack that I used, and I had shown the evidence of that on my projects, on my resume, and on my profile as well. So definitely student programs team gave me a chance to, become part of their team. And I think since then I have never, they have never left me, and I have never left them. So yeah, that's how the journey goes.
All
But yeah,
right. So
that was a little bit about it.
that seems like in the early times, being a developer advocate, I think it might be a tough choice in terms of your career perspective as well. Right now, we can see that there is like a boom happening in terms of that perspective, like developer relation managers or dev relations or something like that. By continuing the question, so I want to ask you, like, what are the some common challenges in the community management? Like, how do you basically address them?
Community like challenges, I would say it's more mostly around, when you have a global community, right? Like when you have a, when you have a community where you want to not just focus on a particular region or a particular campus or a particular, it's not divided among boundaries. I think your responsibility comes like, it becomes like a very, yeah, it becomes very challenging, to keep and to consistently, like to basically consistently deliver value while also managing these multiple responsibilities that can be challenging, right? So of course that is one thing which is definitely very challenging, of course. Like I definitely feel that. Apart from that, I think miscommunication or differing opinions when you have a community, for example, let's say the Postman student community, right? For example, right now we have more than 15,000, 15,000 community members just on Discord, and everyone has so much to share, everyone has so much to, like share about. So I think it's more about like whenever we are planning to keep like whenever we basically try to manage these online forums or online communities, it becomes a little bit challenging to avoid spam. And with all these things going on, like with currently, like all the spams and, like, yeah, all these things going on, I think it's definitely difficult, a little bit difficult to manage all of that. Because, like let's say for example, we have around like 25 to 30, like 25 plus channels, and if someone attacks, like let's say if, like someone basically spams it, we have to make sure that, the message, this, like nobody actually clicks on the link. And of course we want to make sure that, it gets deleted at, like as soon as possible. So I think these are some of the challenges which I would say, but mostly it is around, again, being able to make sure that, all the being able to make sure that, as a community leader, as a community manager, you are being, your thoughts are diverse, and you definitely want to listen, you definitely want to make sure, right, that you want to address all of these things, all of these conflicts with as much as humbleness, and, like trying to take a fair decision amongst everything. So I think that's something which is, and as a solution, I think it's more about me personally, I try to always establish clear guidelines for respect, like for respectful communication. And I, of course, like I definitely moderate all the discussions and participate in them very actively, so that I know that, it keeps a positive environment, like a productive and learning environment, and it does not deviate on, something which is unproductive or something that might lead to a conflict and negativeness. So I think, yeah, that's something which I do to, of course, like embrace this.
Yeah, at the end, all this work is towards the students and teach Postman API, so which can definitely improve their career perspective. So my next question is in terms of that related area. So what impact do you think that Postman API certification will leave on students, or how do you think that it will help in their career perspective?
Okay, very good question. I think by now most of us know that Postman is an industry standard tool, right? By that meaning, I mean that industry standard tool means that this is a product. This is a product that is used not just like basically it is used by so many people. And by the time we are actually talking about and talking and learning about, APIs in this particular live stream, you may not know that, Postman is actually used by over 30 million developers and 50,000 plus organizations worldwide. I mean, I think that's something which is, like which itself gives you like a lot of assurance about what exactly you can do, in like by getting a strong hands-on fundamental learning on Postman, right? And about these, like from via these certifications that we actually do, right? So I think that's one of the main things, right? Like I think as a student, as an undergraduate, we all want to target into these 50,000 companies, right? We all want to see ourselves, working in that, like working in the, like working in one of these companies, some like after graduating, right? And I think if if we are providing these courses, we are providing these trainings for students, for early age developers who can actually learn about these things via a very beginner friendly course. I think I have had so many friends, who just wanted to try because, they keep on seeing me getting tagged on LinkedIn, Twitter, everywhere about these certifications. So they actually wanted to try this, and they were not actually from, technical background as well, but they found it so interesting. They basically found it so, like, so engaging, such a beginner friendly course that they actually felt like, okay, fine, we now know about APIs and we can actually like work around with APIs in our future. So I think it's that, right? Because having a hands on and having a strong, like having a basically having a strong hands on understanding these concept at earlier stage before you actually transition into a full time role where you would be expected to know about these things, it definitely gives you a very strong edge over others. And on a personal note, there are just so many HRs who actually reach out to me on LinkedIn or somewhere else, right, where they just want me to, where they just want me to like confirm that whether this particular certification that was shared in the resume of of a candidate is valid or not. They want me to verify that. And that of course tells, right, that of course this certification is useful and is very much is definitely gives an edge to applicants who actually have this on their resume over others. So yeah, that's what I have to share on that.
Yeah, I even tell the contributors to highlight that in your GitHub profile as a badge achievement. So anybody who comes to your profile, they see that okay, you have did this kind of professional certification rather than doing an Udemy certification or LinkedIn certification courses. Definitely, it will add a value to it. So one advice from my side would be something like, irrespective of what you want to be, software developer or developer advocate, always try to do a personal branding of yourself along with when you do the certifications or coding or something. That would definitely help you in terms. So the next question is somewhat similar to your job role. So one of the person asked over here is like, can you brief about the career in Postman for anyone who wants to be developer or something? So I already prepared a similar question to you. So what advice would you give to students who interested in your similar career path, how they can
Okay.
scale up a similar career path? Yeah.
Sure thing, sure thing. I would say that right now, as a student, if you're actually a student and you want to, you basically want to join developer advocacy as a career, I think one thing at the very early stage that you can start working on is collaborate, collaborate, and collaborate. Because I think that's something which is like a very strong skill, even as an undergraduate or even as someone I think this one particular thing is very much I feel that very much connected to almost all the roles. But I think collaborating, getting a good hands on how exactly you can learn to collaborate, and that too when you are basically working in an environment where it's global, you have so many people joining in from so many different countries, and you definitely want to make sure that again you plan something better for your audience, like according to, and of course you plan together, like you basically plan it together with different teams working with different folks from different country. So that's something which is a must thing. Apart from that, one thing is that sometimes, and a lot of times, devrel basically can mean that you have to don multiple hats at the same time. So I think it's always a good idea to make sure that you have very strong skills, like strong technical skills, not just like good communication skills, or not just not just other soft skills, but you also have to focus equally a lot more on your technical skills, right? Because actually the definition of devrel differs. I would say that basically differs on like company to company basis. Like for example, a very early age startup might be hiring devrel folks for something different, and maybe like somewhere like an industry or like a particular a very big organization, right? They definitely would be hiring with like different ambitions in mind, keeping whenever they want to hire a devrel. So I think it's more about make sure that your horizons are widened, and you basically try to don a lot of skills together, not just your soft skills, or not just things like public speaking and all of that, but technical skills as well. Apart from that, yeah, I think these are the two things which are on top of my mind when I feel that what exactly is essential for students specifically, and for early age developers to to basically think about their career in developer advocacy.
So does Postman offer any kind of internship to undergraduate students?
Oh yes, I can quickly add a link here for all the open positions that we have in at Postman. But yes, do definitely, we keep on hiring, and we are actually hiring for a lot of, like a lot of positions, a lot of, like a lot of our teams are basically hiring for it. So I'll quickly just add that over here. Maybe Sanjay, you can
Sure.
just, like link to this, like basically you can share this link on our comments.
Uh,
But yeah,
all right.
definitely, yeah, we do have a lot of
Seems
openings.
seems like that's a good opportunity. So what I will be doing is like I will be pinning this comment over here, so you can you guys can just go and click after the event gets over, or maybe I will share
Sure.
through the newsletters to you all guys. So it would be helpful for you. And I do have similar questions along with this. So you do have the student campus ambassador programs and other student related community programs available in Postman, right? So
Yeah.
for example, if already the GSO contributor has done the certification, so I want to ask you like, so what's next for them after taking the certification? Can they be a Postman student ambassador? If yes, how they can approach you, how they can apply for it?
Got it. Okay. Before I say that, I'll quickly, add a link here for the student leader program, so that, by the time you are actually, I'm sharing about this, you can actually learn more about it. And if you think that, you are someone who is eligible for the leader program, you can actually apply for that. But yes, you can do a lot of things after, getting certified as a Postman student expert. And one of them is becoming a Postman student leader. Like, again, getting a chance to, like basically be eligible to apply for the student leader program. Now this program is specifically, for people who are more like more deviated towards, or who basically have like strong community building skills, who want to do something for their campus. For example, I wanted to do something when I was in my, like, when I was in my college, right? I wanted to create a very nice peer-to-peer environment where we all could learn and share with each other, and we could learn these tech stacks, and we could learn a lot of other, like learn about other fields. But in general, if you're a student who has, like, of course you're an undergraduate student, and you have at least 1 to 2 years still remaining, for you to graduate, you are eligible, and you are a student expert, so you're eligible to become a student leader, or you're eligible to apply to become a student leader. And this program is specifically where you will basically be representing Postman as one of our, like as one of the Postman representatives in your campus, and where you will be working as an advocate for API literacy in your campus and in your community. So this is completely like a, like a voluntary program, right? Where if you feel that you're someone who wants to, maybe let's say, who wants to dive into this journey, like for example, you want to learn about community management, you want to learn about these things in advance, you want to collaborate with the global, like folks, or like, basically campuses, global campus, where we have these postmaster leaders representing more than 100 campuses all around the globe. So I think this is a very good opportunity. You can definitely apply on this particular link that I have shared. And yeah, I'll be happy to review your applications.
Awesome. Sorry, I had some technical issues, so I had to leave and join
Oh,
again.
got it.
All right. I want to ask you another question regarding in terms of you already mentioned like what is after for students after the taking certification. So they can either be a student developer or they can be a community manager or something like that. Apart from that, do Postman offers any other course like an advanced level or something?
Oh yes, we do have a lot of, like a lot of trainings, a lot of courses available for not just students, but for, like for all types of, like all types of users of Postman. For example, student program team, right? Like student program offers two different courses. One is the student expert certification, and one is your project based learning, which basically, like we also, dived into the phase of, like AI, and then we thought of building a project around AI. So it's a very good project, like a very beginner friendly project as well, which actually helps you to create an AI tech summarizer. So you can definitely, like if you're already registered as a student on the Postman Academy, you should be able to see that on your Postman Academy dashboard, where, if you will go to the student section, you should be able to see two courses. One is API Fundamental Student Expert Certification, and another one is project based learning. And yes, you do get certificate at the end of that particular training as well. So if you want to learn more about not just APIs, not just Postman, but you also want to learn about, like again, using Postman to build your projects, then I think PBL course or the project based learning course will be very helpful for you. Apart from that, if you're someone, who is already, like who wants to explore an intermediate level training or more advanced level trainings. We do have courses for that as well. We have so many challenges going on as well. For example, 15 days of Postman, 30 days of Postman challenge, and a lot of other challenges as well. So you can actually go on Postman Academy, and we have a lot to offer there, for all the types of users who actually want to learn something, and of course, implement that in your journey.
All right. So I would recommend all of the contributor to join the Postman Discord channel. So you can get a lot of updates regarding what's really happening on the Postman through the Discord channel as well. Yeah. So I have one last question to you, Anchal. So how can students leverage online resources like networking, personal projects, and to stand out in the tech industry? Right now, you know that in India the competition is high. So what do you really recommend to students to get stand out apart from
Got
taking
it.
this?
I think, yeah, got it. I think apart from everything, right, like apart from all the learnings that we are having, and we keep on we definitely keep on adding skills on our resume, on our portfolio, and of course, for ourselves, so that we can get better opportunities. I think right now, online resources mostly, I think for me as well, I remember utilizing and getting just so many offers just by how I share about my learnings and how I share about the milestones in my career on public platforms, right? Especially like LinkedIn and Twitter. So I would definitely say that definitely utilize these two resources as something which is very important for you to not just again learn about skills, learn and learn and upskill yourself, but also in grabbing good opportunities, right? And that too, I think in the right now we are at a phase where we all want to work remotely, right? And I think a lot of a lot of CEOs, a lot of founders from these big companies who are actually hiring remote, they are very much active on these platforms, specifically Twitter, right? So you can directly just get in touch with them. You can just share about your you can just share about your resume, share about your your skills, and they may you may actually end up getting an interview directly through these platforms. So I think one thing is again upskilling yourself on upskilling yourselves on a constant basis, and another one is that making sure that all the skills that you have get people know about that, right? And what better platform than these platforms where you can actually share about your learning, share about whether let's say for example you must have seen a lot of people sharing about their coding journey, like by 100 days of coding, 100 days of coding challenge, or 30 days of coding challenge, right? I think that's mostly for them, right? Because even like if I am viewing someone, right, if I view someone on my timeline and I see that okay, this person is actually doing that, and I see their progress, right? Either as a learner I can join them to even get started and do and again join them in learning about the same, or as a recruiter, as someone who actually wants to hire someone from their team, I may look them as a good candidate, right? Where I know that okay, fine, they are learning everything publicly and they are sharing about it, on a regular basis. So I think we have just so many resources online right now, and I think we are lucky in this particular, because I think I think when I used to be there, in my very first year or second year, I definitely did not know a lot about these platforms, because I learned about them after I was after I reached my fourth semester. And I definitely see that if I would have known it earlier, I would have definitely been able to grab more opportunities, by all again by keeping myself active way before on social medias, right? So I think yeah, these are some of the very good opportunities and very good resources that we can utilize for networking, or for for networking, for getting in touch with, or again sharing about your learning, sharing about your ideas publicly, or sharing about your ideas with business founders or anyone else. I think it's definitely a very these two are my recommended platforms for these, yeah, for these things.
Right. So I think that's pretty much we have to cover today's session. And if you guys have any questions towards Anshal or anything which we have not covered, I think we covered mostly everything from starting to an advanced level, how you even how you want to become a developer advocate as well. So if you feel like okay, we have not addressed any kind of questions, maybe we can take two more questions. So I will be mindful about your time as well. Then we will end up the session.
Sure thing,
So you
sounds
can
good.
just shoot your questions in the comment box right now.
I see a lot of
So
questions
meanwhile, I will
regarding
be,
swags.
yeah, there will be a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
meanwhile, I'll just share the screen and show you how to take a Postman certification. So if you go to the GSOC website, or over here on the more, you can see Postman challenge. So I kind of summarized everything over here. So you have the link to register. So upon clicking on this link, you will be redirecting to a new Postman website. So here you can register for the particular certification, and this one is just like a quick overview about what you will be learning. So if you want to have an understanding about what you learn before you take the certification and how to do the task, I have summarized. I think this will hardly take 23 minutes if you follow, if you complete your certification. But yeah, I feel like most of the people said to me like this was pretty much useful for them to get an overview about what they are going to do or what they are going to learn in the Postman certification. So go through this, then you can just kick off your certification right on the particular page of Postman. Now, in GScript Foundation, if you go to the leaderboard, we provide 500 points for you people, and you will be also getting your personalized Postman badge over here. So you can use that to, do personal branding on LinkedIn or GitHub or something. And also make sure that you do some kind of personal branding on your personal profile as well. For example, if in GitHub, you can just show your tech stack and certification, like Postman, whatever certification you have or something. So this would be definitely useful for your career as well. All right, so let me take some questions over here. So mostly the questions are related to the swags. So people are having the questions like when they will be receiving the swags upon selecting them as a winner, and how Postman is selecting them as a winners.
Got it, got it. I think so what actually happens is that after every campaign is done, we do two different types of giveaways, right? And maybe Sanjay, you can actually just like share the link to the Notion page that we have, right, where we have explained about the swag giveaways in a very detailed manner about everything, right? So the very first giveaway is around like attending the lectures and of course participating in the social media challenge, where you can actually like we will do a raffle kind of, right, and where we will see after you complete the student expert training and whatever you have shared on Twitter. This is specifically for Twitter, right? The social media challenge. So once you share about your learnings and whatever you have learned during your session, you can actually enter a raffle, and we may like you may get selected out of. Do we have a specific number, Sanjay? In mind, like how many like winners do we decide from the social media giveaway?
So
No.
in the social media thing, we have we selected 30 winners, and in the expert winners, which is like the LinkedIn campaign, we have selected
Yeah.
25 winners today, and I have
Yeah.
sent you the details in the Excel file itself.
Yeah. So I
All
think
right.
that, yeah, I think right, like what you have to do. Of course, the very first thing is you have to complete your certification, right, and after that you definitely share about your learnings with like your network about whatever you learned in the training, like whatever you learned throughout the course and throughout the certification. And then of course you can be selected as one of the winners depending on what you have shared in like all the learnings that you have shared. Or maybe like it is actually like kind of, I would say like it is like a random raffle, right? Which we take because of course all of you write so many amazing so many amazing posts on LinkedIn. Like I keep on seeing them on my timeline as well. So of course it might be a little bit difficult to select the winners based on that. But please note that currently like again we have a specific processing time for all our swag, right, for all our swag shipment. And yeah, due to some changes that we are also currently going through internally with our swag vendors and all of that, so we may take a little bit more time than expected. But please note that you like all the winners who are selected, they will be receiving an email as soon as possible, like from my side mostly, right? And once I say like once you receive a communication and a confirmation email that you were selected as one of the winners, then a rest of the things will be taken care of by our swag vendors. But please note that, keep in mind that like we have an entire process and like entire procedure of shipping all these swags, and we ship them on a cohort basis. So we don't ship them on individual basis. Like we basically plan to ship them in big cohorts. Like for example, we have different partners, we have different PSLs, maybe we have a lot of other campaigns going and going as well, right? So it gets shipped in like in batches, so please wait accordingly. And please be a little bit patient because it's not directly in my hands, or even like in the like in GSOC team, like GSOC team's hand. It is more about again, it is more about again, the availability of these stocks, like basically the availability of the swag kits and a lot of other things, right, which you do, which you may not like want to know about the operations that happen behind. But please note that all the winners who have been selected, they definitely will be contacted by us, and then we will proceed forward with initiating your swag shipment.
All right. And I have one more questions regarding the winners. So all the winners announcement will already made through the newsletters. We will be making it public on the LinkedIn channels, and we will also share in the Discord as well. So there won't be any further confusion. And I will be kicking off batch 3 from right now. Then I will be selecting winner after 2 days. So that would be like for Twitter challenge. You have the link to the Twitter challenge link in the description box below. So I believe like we have covered everything, and I should be mindful about your time as well, Anchal. I booked your slot for 30 minutes, so we already passed 40 minutes right now. So I think pretty much all the questions has been covered. If there is anything we missed out, I will definitely come to your comment box and give you an explanation for it. So, and
Yeah,
thank
sure
you,
thing.
Anchal, for taking your time from the busy schedule. I know that there is like a lot of things going with the Postman at the moment. But all your guidance been very helpful in terms of how to scale up as a contributor to something big. And I think all the people who joined here learned something new from you as well. So, and yeah, as a final conclusion, I would like to thank you on behalf of the GSOC and all the contributor who has been joined and helping them to guide on career perspective or the API Postman certification as well. Thank you,
Thank
Anshal,
you so
for
much, Sanjay,
joining.
for having me, and thank you so much everyone for joining in. Have a good day and happy learning and happy sharing. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.